And welcome back. We are still here at the European Yu-Gi-Oh! Championship live from Antwerp here in 2022. We've just come out of the first ever top 128. It's a big top cut for this tournament. We had over 2,000 duelists taking part, so it's only natural we have an enormous amount of top cuts. But we are now in to the top 64 and our next duel. So on my right, we have Callum Cook, and on my left, we have Georgi Kovachev. So guys, I'm going to hand you ceremoniously the dice for the dice roll. Who would like to roll first? We're going to see which one of you will be going first and who will be going second. So that's a 7. And that is much higher. So we're going to be going for that. Callum, are you going to go first or second? You're going to go first. Callum is going to go first, so I'm going to hand you guys over to Sebastian and Leonard over in the commentators' corner. Guys, take it away.
Once more, thank you very much, Ed, and here we are as well for the top 64 of this. Normally you only play top 64, I'm sorry, but this time so many players, so top 128, but now we're down to the top 64, so we already eliminated half of the top cards, but we still have 64 to go through to find out who's going to be our European champion this weekend.
Yeah, and let me tell you guys, we don't have that many different decks apart from Sprite and Terra Elements. We were scouting all the time. These two decks are so oppressive, but we managed to still find a deck that is spicy and hasn't been featured yet, so why don't we just go into the game?
Absolutely, and not only did we find one that we didn't have so far and is kind of spicy, which is I don't know, you can call it spicy, it's at least not Sprite or Telemans.
Yeah.
But also it is a very, very trap deck strategy. And as you can see there, Georgi Kovachev is playing Eldritch. That is his deck of choice, and we all know that. That's basically the trap deck for the last 2 to 3 years. If you're playing a trap deck, you are usually going with this, right?
Yeah, and Callum is playing a little bit of spice. He is playing, of course, Sprites, but he's playing the Dark Beckoning Beast engine, which is arguably the normal summon that gives you the most value on the deck.
Yeah, we talked about that evolution before. Everybody was considering this card at some point for sure as the best normal summon, but mainly people have moved away from the Dark Beckoning Beast engine and they are going towards the Nimble Beaver engine. Just walking through the field, you see a lot of beavers on the field, for sure. Yeah. It's like, it's a lake, there are a lot of beavers everywhere. But he decided to go with the Dark Beckoning Beast package, and of course then he also runs the Opening of the Spirit. And he is not starting with that normal summon though, he is going with Sprite Starter, summoning out Sprite Blue and getting the carrot right to his hand.
Yeah, Opening of the Spirit Gates is such a strong card, it searches out another Beckoning Beast that you can then normal summon due to the second effect of Dark Beckoning Beast. And also you can always, because Opening is a continuous spell card, discard a card to special summon back a Dark Beckoning Beast. And only in this deck you can also special summon other cards in Sacred Beast decks. I guess it's like Dark Fiend and 0 attack and 0 defense.
Yes, it is, indeed. But Calum didn't go for the Dark Beckoning Beast normal summon, and rather for Swap Frog, which is a fine normal summon as well, though. I don't think he's complaining too much. He still has access to the good old Gigantic Sprite if he wants to, and usually the Eldritch deck is not giving any aggression on the opponent's turn. Usually there are no hand interactions, he's not playing any hand traps. Let me just check his list, but I didn't see any at first glance, and nope, there's nothing to be feared. It's just purple cards and a couple of spell cards which are going to draw or search out stuff, which are also trap cards. So basically trap cards all around, and the Eldritch Lord sitting on top of everything.
The Floodgate cards are supposed to do enough going second. By the way, let me talk a little bit more about Dark Beckoning Beast. It's not only a starter that can instantly go into Gigantic Sprite. If you have a starter next to it, a Sprite starter,
yes,
then you can also just go into Djinn Buster and protect your plays from hand traps even more. But there we can see the card, the evil card that pushed Dark Beckoning Beast out of most main decks, Sprite Smashes. If you start with Dark Beckoning Beast and you get smashed, you really need a starter to play. Otherwise, your turn is just over.
Yeah, for sure.
To the best of us.
Definitely, definitely. And the Nimble Beaver engine in contrarian to that, there's can also play the Nimble Angler, which gives you 2 level 2 monsters on the board before even normal summoning, so it definitely adds something to the deck, and I definitely like that route. But Callum Cook is doing wonderfully well with his Dark Beckoning Beast so far, so I don't think he's complaining so far about the choice he made.
Yeah. So he is now going for Toad and Sprite Elf. This is a board that plays around Super Polymerization, so it's a very minimal board. Against players who run Super Polymerization like Tyrellmans, this is really strong because they can't abuse it to out your board. But I think against Eldritch you would want to have a bit of a more established board by now.
Yeah, but didn't he search for Carrot in between? I thought he searched for Carrot first with blue, but looks like he didn't, because I would be pretty confident that he would have summoned that versus Eldritch, to be honest. And there we see it, he's also special summoning out with the Totally Awesome, so he again basically is playing into his Super Polymerization now by summoning out the Dupe Frog. But honestly, I think Calum might know what his opponent is on.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised if he does know that he's facing Eldritch there.
Look at Georgi. His cheeky smile there. You can already look at his hand. You can see Rivalry, you can see Gozen Match, and you can see Skill Drain and Strike. So this is not going to be the best time for Callum. And honestly, Callum, you gotta admit, this guy has swag.
For sure, and he's just nodding there. Yeah, 1 set, cool. 2 set, sure. 3 set, okay, let's go. And now all of the 5 spell and trap zones of Georgi are filled with back row, so he's very much ready to fight the board that Callum has created there with his trap cards. But Callum still at the end of the main phase, of course, can reborn something here with Sprite Elf. It cannot be an Exceed monster because there are no monsters on the side of Georgi, of course. But apart from that, he can choose whatever he wants. And of course he can go for the Sprite Blue. And Sprite Blue now is able to search him more engine. And a thing with the Eldritch deck usually is if they do not have like oppressive floodgate cards such as Ghost Match, all the trap cards usually trade like 1 for 1, such as Dogmatica Punishment and stuff like that. So if you can generate enough card advantage with your own engine, it's actually kind of nice. You can actually play through it because you are getting more cards than your opponent and he's trading 1 for 1 usually, so that could get you ahead.
I gotta disagree. Usually I agree it's mostly a 1 for 1 trade, but Dogmatica Punishment is usually a 2 for 1.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. True. Because you're usually sending Entis. I will give you that for sure. But there's the normal summon of Swap Frog, and Georgi so far doesn't want to interrupt him. He's like, sure, bro, go ahead. And there's the Carrot. Yeah, look, he searched for Carrot, and I think he searched for Carrot because he knew that he's going up against the Eldritch deck. Otherwise, you just don't search a Carrot that you're not going to use, right? That would be kind of wild, but Calum has it. What kind of extra deck cards does the Sprite deck have to face back row decks? I mean, there's one instantly coming into my mind,
Zeus,
which is obviously Zeus, but there are so many cards on the side of Calum already. Do you really want to Zeus that whole board, because it also just wipes your entire board, and then you also are putting the Eldritch cards into the graveyard where they can use their effects again, so that does not really seem like the way to go here.
I'm not, Basti, exactly sure that we are going to get to the situation where he even is able to ask himself if he wants to Zeus something, because of all those floodgates, Skill Drain, Rivalry, Gozen, and also the Solemn Strikes to protect them after all. So they will have to resolve. You can't negate Solemn Strike with monster effects because it's a counter trap. So the first floodgate you activate and that your opponent wants to negate, you can protect with Strike, and then no Toad, no Carrot can negate the... Oh, it's even Torrential Tribute. Wow.
I don't know whether Calum saw that coming. And honestly, Georgi waited for forever to activate that Torrential. He let him normal summon, and then he let him go into Gigantic.
We strike that.
If we do have Strike, we 100% do it.
You can also Skill Drain this. I mean, does he really have Strike, or did I just see
it is Skill Drain. It is Skill Drain. Okay, he can also use Skill Drain, of course, but this will mean Carrot, I would guess. Oh, Smashes is there as well, of course.
Now, Carrot was activated already. Toad is still...
oh, okay, yeah, so he will react... okay, no, he's going for Smashes there.
And Smashes can't even be Strike. Can you check if he has Strike in his...
I will, of course,
main
check
deck
for you. And there is, of course, 3 copies of Solemn Strike in his main deck. Yes, there is. So, Calum still thinking.
So Georgi knew about the Smashers, so this was really risky.
Yeah, if he has Strike, why didn't he just go for Strike and end it there? Because now the Smashers is able to actually out the Skill Drain, and if the chain resolves like that, the Torrential Tribute is going to be met with the negation effect of Carrot. So it wouldn't resolve, and also the skill drain goes away, and then he just has a single strike, which honestly is not that strong as an interruption. It's very strong paired together with the torrential of the skill drain, but like that, just on its own, it's not that great. So I would just think he does not have strike, right? That must be the answer there. Pretty surely has to be the answer.
So what else can he do here? He can still Gozen match. This will most likely be met by Totally Awesome, because if you let it go through, you will have to send away a Totally, so might as well destroy the card and negate it.
But they are actually riding on the life points pad, so I would assume that we are in the battle phase. And Calum is providing some damage, but now again that he's actually summoning another monster, I would be thinking that that's not the case.
Oh, and he drew the semi-brick.
Indeed he did.
Opening gate searches for a Dark Beckoning Beast, which can search for another opening gate, but I have barely ever seen anyone play 2 opening gates.
Yeah, he's
so,
only on 1 for sure.
It just searches out 1 level 2 monster that you can normal summon and maybe reborn it. So if you're playing Almirage, you can actually soft combo after you go for the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can. But I think, again, this is a card that will help him in the grind game, because he gets more and more resources. He gets to level 2 monsters. And if Georgi is just going for his traps, and here, in that case, he basically traded 1 for 1 with them. And if he has more engine to push further, that is actually good. I think he targeted the Totally Awesome there, but that's not possible because his Sprite Elf is just pointing towards it.
Maybe he's just also targeting the Sprite Elf.
That might very well be the case. It would have to be the case, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's just chaining the Sprite Elf to it. And do we have a response to that? No, we don't. We are summoning out the Sprite Jet, and there's Antis, of course, and now Antis is probably targeting the Totally Awesome.
Exactly. You made your way free for targeting the Toad, so you can just now freely target it, and once it's resolved... Oh! Sprite Red negates it, so he can keep the Spell Trap negate of Toad up. That is really strong, because there's a Gozen and a random card, and actually, even if a Floodgate goes through now, at this point, Georgi has no cards to play with. He can just get chipped down.
For sure. And Calum actually got that one spot where Eldritch players are using a monster effect, because that is very rarely the case, that they are actually using monster effects. But there, Antis was used, so the Sprite Red could actually resolve its effect, which is very rare in this matchup. But he managed to do it, so that's really good for him there.
So Dewfrog just got banished for the Ronin Toadin. And now we have another body on board.
Yeah, that's a lot of monsters, and you would think for a normal deck that must easily be OTK, but in that case for Sprite, it does still struggle to put up a lot of attack points. All these monsters are quite small, not gonna lie, but Calum keeps on going and maybe finds a line to a lot of damage here. Where's IP, first of all?
Yeah, and IP is really strong against a deck that has that many destruction effects. So, because if a Link monster is summoned with IP as Link material, then obviously the card cannot be destroyed by card effects.
Shall I tell you something? Callum Cook actually decided to play the Access Code Talker package, which could come in really handy, and I think he's just going for that, isn't he? I think he might find a very easy line to go for game there. There is
actually an engine card, so we know the last card is the Gozen match, and that's absolutely fine for him, because now he even has the 4th monster in graveyard. By just discarding another card, you can special summon back the Dark Beckoning Beast and then go into Access Code.
100%. Georgi not looking good here. Calum just cruising. And in this scenario, in this kind of a matchup, that Access Code Talker decision really pays off. In those back row matchups, just blowing up the entire field of your opponent. As we just see, he's performing the Link Force Summon, and Access Code Talker is about to hit the field. There he is in beautiful gold rare.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to...
On resolve, you will have to activate Gozen Match, and this will be negated, of course. He now sets the card. I doubt that he's going to use it at any point.
Most likely not, yeah. Most likely not. But Totally Awesome puts itself back to the extra deck.
Which I find interesting, to be honest. Could have just added back Ronin Toadin, right?
Is that enough damage on board? Georgi is on 7,000 life points because of the activation of Skill Drain, so that is indeed game. Callum Cook from the UK takes game number 1 here in our top 64 feature match.
So who said this deck can't close out games? You just play Access Code like everyone else and then you win.
Do you like it? I mean, as a decision in general?
I mean, yeah.
He made some very unconventional choices for his deck, I want to say, because the Dark Beckoning Beast, really, he's one of the few players that are on the deck that is still running that package. Also, I don't think a lot of players are still on the Access Code Talker package, but in matchups like this, it really pays off, so you got to give it to him that that definitely was a worthy decision in that matchup. And honestly, I saw so many side decks of Sprite players over the course of the weekend that did not respect anything else than tier or the mirror match. And when I look into Callum Cook's side deck, he's prepared, bro. He's prepared.
Yeah, he has Reboot, Lightning Storm, and Harpy's Feather Duster. 5 copies that can just be an absolute blowout to the deck of Georgi. So we will see how that goes. He's going, of course, to side in Solemn Judgments and Dark Bribes. Again, the second player this weekend on stream that we are featuring that has Dark Bribes in the deck.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it feels like a harsh trade, doesn't it? Because you are negating one of the destruction effects from your opponent, but you're also giving him an additional card, which could just in this case be another Lightning Storm, another Feather Duster or something. So I don't know whether I'm really in love with it, to be honest.
You said it earlier that the deck mostly trades 1 for 1, so you don't really want to play cards that go neg 1, but of course the floodgates are of so much higher value that they need to be protected at all costs.
Pretty much, that's the strategy here for sure. We see that it's also on Ash Blossom. I don't think that's actually coming in here. What kind of matchup are you thinking of that you would bring in Ash Blossom? I mean, it's generally probably a card that goes in going second. Going first, I don't really think you need it. But what deck is Ash Blossom really good against? It would probably be like some Despia variant if you meet it.
I guess it's good against branded versions.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of siding Ash Blossoms is that Card of Demise decks. I will side it against Card of Demise decks. Like True Draco back then just had Desires and Card of Demise and big heritages.
Sure.
So, but that's not really a thing right now, right?
Not really.
Right?
I didn't see any in the last 2 years or something, to be honest. But we see that he's main decking double Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and he's also siding into a third copy of it. This is also a pretty good card going first, because it actually provides you some safety as well, as Solemn Judgment and Dark Bribe do, because you can just reveal it in your hand, and then your opponent is not able to just Lightning Storm your entire back row before you could even activate anything. So that can definitely provide him some safety. Let's see how much safety he finds in his opening hand, because the players are ready. So let's go back to the table. Game number 2 of this top 64 featured match about to happen. Georgi Kovachev will be the first player starting it off here. So let's see what the actions are.
Perfect. I am excited.
There we go. Georgi.
Oh, I can see monsters. I think that's Lord of the Heavenly Prison right there.
And I think it's also Prosperity he has there. Yeah. Oh, no, it's actually Extravagance.
This card is actually better in this deck, I think.
He is on one singular copy of Pot of Prosperity as well, though. So maybe he's on both. And if he is on both and he has both of them in starting hand, that's kind of unfortunate, because he can, of course, not resolve the Prosperity after. There's another spell card. I don't know what it is exactly, though.
It could be Curse Elden, but there is the Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and this one is actually insane, because it plays around every side deck card that Callum is bringing to the table.
Except Red Reboot, but I mean, when he has a reboot, he has a reboot, right?
Yeah, this is a sad mentality, but that's just the case.
Yep, so Calum starting it off with normal summon Swap Frog and using the effect. Do we have something like Skill Drain? Doesn't look like it. He lets it go through. He lets him perform that. So from this point on, not even a punishment would be really good, because if you punishment that Swap Frog now, he's just going to reborn the Ronin Totem, and he still has a level 2 on board anyways.
Okay. So this is a crucial point, and there is no hand trap on this, and now I'm curious, because as soon as you get to Jet or Carrot on the field, you have an auto Floodgate.
Yeah. Maybe something unresolved from Georgi. Yep, he's thinking about it. There is, he goes in match. Yep, he has something, and there is a Red Reboot.
If he has Reboot, he has Reboot.
You and I were talking about.
This is insane.
Oh boy.
Of course, he can go for Access Code now, but he has to OTK, because even Access Code can't pop the back row.
Indeed, it cannot. But I mean, when you summon Access Code Talker and you're not feared of, you're not in fear of any back row. Oh yeah, Zeus is also a pretty good one to use.
Okay, never mind, guys. I found the solution. You just go Zeus.
Zeus would be really good, but Georgi actually still has like 2 or 3 more cards in his hand, so I think he could be good there. I don't think the Zeus would completely kill him there. It would not completely instantly end the game. I think after resolving the Pot of Extravagance, he has enough resources to maybe even bounce back from Zeus. But as he's summoning the Sky Centuria there, it's definitely surely the case that he's going for Zeus here.
Does he maybe play a card that can have more materials than 2?
Let me check whether he's on the good old Downed Magician, and it's just being summoned, so there is Downed Magician.
No,
for him.
I mean if he can like use 4 materials to summon.
No, I don't think so. No. But he still will have another sand with the Zeus, so that's really good for him.
This is interesting.
Wait,
because
there was Judgment,
he
right?
just said Judgment with Red Reboot.
Oh, what?
But this is odd, because usually you would think that he would set the last piece of the Eldritch cards, because of course you're going to get Zeus after this.
Yeah, for sure. And there's his Sprite starter as well, so Calum is not even done yet. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think he can even set up Toad.
That would be rough for Georgi. That Red Reboot there really putting in work. The nightmare of every trap deck, the nightmare of every Eldritch player in any event is Red Reboot, and Callum Cook has that answer here to his hand in game number 2 of this top 64 match. What a moment to draw into Red Reboot when your opponent is on Eldritch, right?
Yeah, so important, especially when he just reveals a lot of the Heavenly Prisons and you're like, yeah, I can absolutely deal with this. This is not a problem for me.
Yeah.
And top 64 is such an important match, because I think that top 32 has much better pricing.
That might actually be the case. We will look into the pricing later on again. But I mean, not just even thinking about the pricing. I mean, he still keeps his shot alive to be the European champion of the biggest European championship ever. So I definitely would love to stay in this tournament in the shoes of Callum Cook, and he's in a very good position to do so.
Same. So he even has Carrot set up in Graveyard, so he can actually just end phase Bright Elf back the Carrot in the next turn. For now, he's just, of course, going to set up Totally Awesome.
Yeah, he will do it end of main, but I mean, it's pretty much the same. Pretty much the same there, because the Eldritch deck is not really differentiating between main phase and end phase, because just setting cards will be, end of main and end of the turn will pretty much be the same outcome.
There probably won't be any big plays.
Indeed. So as you already anticipated, he is able to set up Totally Awesome. That's just being summoned there. So he has 1 Spell and Trap card negate and also a whole board wipe still from the Zeus. It looks a little bit like there's only 1 material under the Zeus, but it should be 2, right?
Yeah, but it should be 2, yeah. But there's also like still comeback potential for Georgi, because he could just use his 2 traps in the end phase, right? Or does Reboot still affect the trap cards in Graveyard? Let me just
I think it just is for trap card activations, so he should be good on the activating effects in Graveyard. And yeah, he's just doing that. There is the Sanguine. Sanguine is being used, so he can actually set up Engine again. As I said, he may be able to rebounce. Also, there's still a lot of the Heavenly Prison in his hand, so there's still some stuff to happen. I'm not 100% sure that is over already. We can maybe find a way to victory here for Georgi. I guess there is the way after Red Reboot. I mean, that would be something here in the top 64. Getting Red rebooted as a Eldritch player and then even be able to bounce back, that would be insane, let's be honest.
Are we going to see this apparently bored Golden Lord win the event? Or rather win the round first?
I think it's about to come out. But you gotta negate that with Totally Awesome, don't you?
I think you're toting this.
Otherwise, he just runs over it. Oh, he lets it through.
Maybe this is draw phase or standby phase, so he can still go Dupe Frog, so he doesn't care about the Golden Lord.
That might be the solution. That might be a really good solution. He might just go for that. You're 100% correct. Oh, he's just trying to pop it, though, here with the Conquistador. And you gotta negate that.
You can't target it, right?
It doesn't target. Conquistador doesn't target at all. So he is using the Toad negate, and of course you want to set that Eldritch Trap so it is not ready as another resource in the graveyard of Georgi. So definitely setting that back, and we see it here, Conquistador, also the good old Gold Rare reprint. And yeah, Calum is contemplating his options here, but it's on Georgi to continue his turn. I think Battle Phase might have just been announced there because Calum's looking for his grave, so he might want to use his Bright Elf here. Yes, we are using the elf.
The little Toad is back again once again.
And I think it is really the Prosperity he has in hand there. It looks like, oh yeah, we're just running over the Toad, which is great for him. Absolute pleasure to just get the negate out of the way.
Getting some more chip in is already important because Red Reboot was activated, so basically Calum is on a clock.
Yeah, And now, Callum this time didn't recycle his Totally Awesome. So Totally Awesome is basically not in the extra deck as a resource. We do know, of course, though, that he can, if the Sprite Elf stays on the board, just revive it next turn once more. So the fear of Totally Awesome is not totally gone yet.
I still think that Calum is in the lead, because there were just 2 add-backs from Totally Awesome, and honestly, there's still a Zeus. So if he has no proactive way to get rid of the Zeus...
Oh,
like,
what do we find here?
if he just finds more traps, then this is going to be end phase Zeus, and that's it. He is on 4,900 life points, and you can just easily use your swap frogs that you added to go make another elf next to the no material Zeus, and then summon back a monster, and that's game.
You might be right about that. That Zeus is still looking scary here for Georgi. Let's see. He added one of the trap cards. I think he revealed 6 trap cards in total, right? So he could only add a trap card there. And now it is the main phase 2 that Georgi has to use to its potential. But yeah, he doesn't look too happy about it either. And Calum, as from the beginning, just looks super cool and chill. He just sats 1. But Calum, you still get a Zeus here. Like, why would you not Zeus in end phase? There's no way around it. You just gotta do it.
Is there no way around it?
I mean, why would you not Zeus here?
You can still just go main phase, call Elf on Toad and see how the opponent responds.
I guess you could, but...
And then if there's a floodgate, if the floodgate comes down earlier, you still Zeus as a reaction. If you call Elf and there is a torrential, then you have the Toad. If you call Elf and the floodgate is chained, then you chain the Zeus, so you get rid of the floodgate, and then you have Zeus and Totally Awesome for game.
I guess, yeah, you're right. And also, we gotta consider that using Zeus here gets the Conquistador that is set on Calum's side of the field currently back to the graveyard. It has been used this turn though, so it wouldn't be able to get another resource out. It wouldn't be able to do that. Is he thinking about using the Conquistador? I don't think that's possible this turn. It would be funny if he uses it in general though. Sprite tacked with a little Eldritch Engine.
I mean, it makes sense, right? It summons a monster to the field, so it's not that bad.
I mean, I guess, yeah. So, Calum looks like he's really considering to actually use this card here.
Yeah, I think he wants to know if Conquistador pops a card if there is Golden Lord on the field, but you have to control it.
I think he has a different question, because the activation of Conquistador was negated by the Totally Awesome. So would now Georgi, if he actually uses here, be able to use the effect in the graveyard of Conquistador to actually set another trap card? And do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, you can't, because the card says you can only use 1 Conquistador of the Golden Lad effect once per turn.
Yeah, pretty easy answer.
He did that, but if it said activate, then you could activate it again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So problem-solving card tags helping us out once again. Pretty easy answer to that, and I think the judge also pretty quickly solved that. So what is that trap card that Georgi has set up there? He didn't even activate the effect of the Lord in hand, right? Of the Heavenly.
Nope. Oh, there's Toad on the field.
That is impressive already, because there is 1 negate for the 1 back row Georgi has.
Yeah. And now Callum can just summon the Swap Frog, go into Gigantic Sprite, and do whatever he wants, basically. This is now free for him to play.
Yeah, maybe this is also another example of why we have such a few rogue decks here in top 64, because the access to Zeus is in the deck, you have Smashers. For this deck, with its own engine, without even adding any non-engine cards from the side deck, can deal very well with back row decks.
Is this going to be Unicorn?
This is Unicorn again. Calum just likes to seal games with the good old access code talker by the looks of it. He doesn't even need to go into it here, to be honest.
No, this makes much more sense. Get rid of the monster, have the Totally Awesome for the set card, and attack with Unicorn and Zeus for a game.
And there's Rivalry.
Unicorn totally discards the Swap Frog. There is the handshake, and Callum Cook advances to the top 32 of the European Championship.
Absolutely. Let's get it back over to us, and we will have a little post-match analysis. He did not even use any of the board-breaking cards we were talking about, not Lightning Storm, not Harvest Adjuster, but the semi-board breaker-ish, because he didn't even get to set up any board floodgates with Red Reboot. Red Reboot really being the decisive card here in this game 3. Oh, game 2 it was. And
right.
of course then followed by the Zeus. Just the combination of these two cards is crazily good. So Callum Cook, one of our players in top 32. And talking about the top card, I think for top 64, we actually do now have a bracket. So why not have a look at the top 64 bracket and let's see what the players are that we have in the top 64.
So we have Artu Grön, who won Swiss basically. Markus Patel, who we have seen on stage. He crushed it with Sun Avalon in 8 minutes. And with Imran Khan, also a name that is very well known. The current German national champion Daniel Hartmann made it to place 4. And I won't read out every single one, by the way.
Let's look out for more names. Just I see there's Tritai. He's actually a friend of mine. He's the second place finisher of Austrian Nationals, so also definitely a name to look out for. He's very successful
Where
this
is he
season.
from?
He's from Germany. It's not. You cannot tell by his name instantly, but he's German as well for sure. And who else do we have? Federico Pastore, of course, a name that rings some bells, definitely. Yeah. And Matteo Modanini for sure. All the Italians. The Italians are definitely showing some power once more. Sean Smet also rings a bell to me. I think he actually won a national championship this year as well. So some national champions actually still on the roll. Yeah. Maybe going national champion and then European champion. That would be quite an accomplishment. Then... of course, your friend Etienne Ita in there as well.
Absolutely. He crushed it as well. He is constantly topping events. This guy is also on a big roll.
Yeah, not only your friend, but also second place finisher of German Nationals 2019.
Yeah.
Then Lucas Lancelot, of course, has some tops in his repertoire as well. Then we saw Luca Foyan in the feature match earlier. He played very well too. Definitely someone to look out for as well. And yeah, that's it for the first 32. And yeah, let's just have a quick look on the other ones as well. Yeah, he's just leading it, and he's also one of the guys that will be moving on to top 32, of course.
Ryan Jabri is in.
Oh, that's also a big name for sure. Definitely. Who else do we have?
Owen Wilson is in. I have played this guy in a 3v3 event, and I took a photo of the results slip because... it's the name of a famous actor.
Great. Yeah. And then we have Andreas Varlos from Greece, who's also always scary to play against. Vladis Baranovskis, who we had early in the featured match, of course, as well. And then one name we definitely have to talk about. There's Luke Parks in there. Luke Parks could go for another European Championship title. How crazy would that be?
That would be absolutely massive. Patrick Döbelin also has a top 8 in Euros back then. Joshua Schmidt, you just casually skipped over Joshua Schmidt. Herman Hansen.
Oh yeah, all the big names still in there. And of course David Erpren, we had him for a deck profile as well, definitely a name to be looking out for as well. And I just saw that our winners interview is already set up, so I would say we give it over to Ad and Calum for the winners interview. See you for more live coverage later.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. Yes, I'm joined by Callum Cook, who's just got into the top 32 with his Sprite deck against that Eldritch deck in the last round. First off, congratulations. So obviously playing Sprite, you were very able to deal with quite a heavy back row deck. How soon into the match did you know it was Eldritch, or did you know it was Eldritch before you'd started?
I knew the player was playing Eldritch before the match already. He was sat next to me on the previous round. So I knew that it was very dice hole dependent. Pretty much if he wins the dice roll, he's got a massive advantage. So that's why I searched Carrot, and I didn't want to get main decked live Golem or Sphere molded, so I kept the Carrot in my hand for the previous turn. I could special summon it first way. But yeah, it is pretty hard matchup if they go first, but if you go first, you've got a massive advantage as well.
Absolutely, but like you said, your deck is very equipped to deal with that. So just going over some of the plays, you were very dominant in game 1, Access Code Talker, closing game 1 for you. You had an amazing moment with Red Reboot in game 2, which just completely slammed the brakes on the Eldritch deck into a Zeus, which basically just protected you for most of that time. A question that some of the commentators had was, why did you not toad the Golden Lord in game 2? Why did you let that go through?
It's because the Golden Lord to summon it. Oh, it's because it's not really a threat, because like I think he had another set at that moment in time, maybe, I'm unsure. But the Golden Lord on its own is not really a threat. Like if he attacks into my Toad, I can just summon it back either way with Elf. And I'm pretty sure I had a Zeus anyway, so I was pretty confident in my position then. But yeah, that's probably why I didn't do it.
So how long have you been playing Sprites? Is this a new deck that you've got into? Have you been running it basically since it came out?
I tested it beforehand because obviously it came out in OCG first, so I tested it quite a bit, and then yeah, I picked it up as soon as it came out, and then I tested different versions like the Diva version. Friends that I played with playing the Nimble package and the Adventure package, but I decided to go with the Dark Beckoning. It's got a few advantages in different positions, so yeah.
What kind of advantages do you feel it brings?
Well, like the format is obviously tier elements as well, and they summon window a large amount of the time. So the Dark Beckoning engine allows you to normal summon. I have an additional normal summon, so you can make an Xyz, which is your one special summon, and banish the window. But it also plays around hand traps like Ghost Ogre, and yeah, I just like it. Also allows you to make Gym Buster a rank 3, which negates a monster effect, which needs 2 level 3 darks. So yeah, it has quite a lot of utility.
Very, very, very serious amount of utility. So a strong deck and a very strong play for you. You're now in the top 32. Congratulations on your win. I hope the rest of the tournament goes well for you, Callum. Guys, don't go anywhere because we're going to be getting into those top 32 games very shortly. Don't go anywhere.